Most people never think twice about their breath. It just happens. Inhale, exhale again and again. But what if I told you that this seemingly automatic act is one of the most powerful tools God placed in your body? Breath is the only autonomic function you can consciously control to regulate your nervous system. That alone should stop you in your tracks. Out of all the systems God designed, your heartbeat, your digestion, your immune response, there is one that bridges the gap between the unconscious and the conscious, the involuntary and the voluntary. That bridge is breath. It is not merely biological, it is spiritual engineering. It's a divine interface between your spirit, your body, and your mind, and it was never meant to be passive. It was meant to be trained, tuned, and used with intention. When the storms of life rage and your mind is assaulted with chaos, when your heart races and your body trembles under pressure, the breath is your God-given mechanism to command the storm. Through the breath, you can step out of the reactive mode of survival and into the stillness of dominion. Every inhale is a summons of power. Every exhale is a release of tension, fear, and weight that was never yours to carry. The nervous system is not your enemy, it's a servant, but it needs a master, and breath is how you assume the throne. Shallow, erratic breathing is the signature of bondage. Controlled, rhythmic breathing is the sign of spiritual authority. The enemy works through chaos, distraction, and panic. But the spirit works through rhythm, peace, and awareness. And breath is the physical rhythm that aligns your body with spiritual truth. When your breath is out of order, your soul often follows. Anxiety, confusion, rage, they are all fueled by the same fires and unregulated nervous system. And the most powerful extinguisher is right beneath your nose. You don't need to wait for a feeling, a pastor, or a breakthrough service. You need to engage what God already placed within you. When God breathed into Adam, it wasn't just to start the lungs. It was to give man the mechanism of communion. Every breath is a reminder that you are sustained not by will alone, but by divine breath. You were formed by breath, shaped by breath, and empowered by breath. But too many live their lives hijacked by their own physiology because they never took dominion over what they assumed was automatic. Science now confirms what Scripture has always whispered: be still. Control your breath. Know that He is God. You can't wait for peace to come from outside. You must call it forth from within. And the first place to start is the breath. It's not accidental that breath control is found at the center of every ancient discipline, every prophetic moment, every powerful transformation. The body was never meant to be disconnected from the spirit, and your breath is the tether. This is not theory. This is warfare. You can either let the world hijack your nervous system with fear, or you can take back control with the power God planted in your biology. 5. From breathing patterns activate different brain states: alertness, calm, or focus. This is not mysticism. This is design. The Creator did not leave you powerless in the face of emotional storms or mental warfare. He hardwired into your very breath the ability to shift the condition of your mind. With every breath surviving, you are choosing the frequency your brain will operate in. Breathe the fast and shallow, and you awaken stress circuits. Breathe the slow and deep, and you activate peace, clarity, and rest. This is sacred technology written into your nervous system, divine intelligence. Not by chance, but by pervolution, your battlefield. Your brain is not a cowed when you learn to guide it through breath. God gave you the ability to trigger alertness for action, stillness for peace, and sharpness for decision, all through how you breathe. It's not emotional guesswork. It's spiritual authority made flash. And when fear tries to hijack your focus, when distractions invade your space, when pressure mounts like a wave ready to crush you, you don't have to break. And in that breath, you command your brain to align with heaven's order, not the world's chaos. Rapid, short inhalations awaken the sympathetic nervous system, the flight mechanism God placed in you, not for anxiety, but for movement, for boldness, for escape. We're not supposed to live in it, but you are meant to use it when the moment calls for action. Then there's the exhale, the long, deliberate release. That is where peace floods the body, where the parasympathetic system takes over and restores calm, balance, and insight. You don't have to pray for peace to fall from above when the spirit already put it in your lungs. You just have to learn to access it. You've been trained by the world to believe your emotions and thoughts rule you, but the breath says otherwise. The breath, the rain, how to feel, not the other way around. And when your breath is the same way around, your mind becomes a servant of your spirit, not a slave to your surroundings. You were never designed to be reactive. You were designed to be responsive, and the breath is the first act of response. And from the garden to the upper room, God breathed life so that man could walk in dominion, not desperation. When you're learning on the pel with force, when to exhale with surrender, when to hold with control, you're not just learning a habit. You're reclaiming a forgotten covenant between body and spirit. You're moving from chaos to control, from reaction to revelation. The world cannot teach you this. Medication cannot manufacture it. It is encoded in your biology, accessible through faith. Breath was never meant to be automatic. It was meant to be a decision, one that brings your brain into alignment with your calling. Short inhales and long exhales shift you out of stress and into parasympathetic recovery. This is not just physiology, it is a spiritual mechanism for returning to peace. It is the physical act of surrender. Every short inhale is the drawing in of life, of urgency, of awareness. But the long exhale is where the power lies. That exhale is the turning point. It is where your body is commanded to stand down, your heart is told to slow, your mind is told to release its grip on fear, and your spirit is reminded that it is under divine covering. God, in His infinite wisdom, did not leave the recovery of your mind and body to the world's systems. He placed it in the rhythm of your lungs. There is a divine intelligence that governs your ability to heal from chaos, and it begins the moment you lengthen your exhale. The world will drive your inhale, news, noise, pressure, expectation. The enemy will push your chest tight with fear. But you, through the authority of breath, can override the alarm. You can exhale your way into calm. And that calm is not weakness. It is the ground where clarity is born. When the storm rises, when the body shakes, when your thoughts betray you, you don't have to search for external solutions. You already carry the reset. The parasympathetic nervous system is not just a biological term. It is the God-ordained system for restoration. It slows the heart, steadies the blood, calms the muscles, and returns the body to balance. The long exhale is the doorway to that system. And it doesn't require a prescription, a meditation app, or a retreat. It only requires awareness and discipline. Breathe in, but more importantly, learn to let go through the let go of panic, let go of control, let go of the need to figure it all out in the flesh. That slow exhale is not laziness, it is trust. Trust that the body knows how to reset. Trust that the Creator made a way to return from the edge. Trust that peace is not passive, it is practice. The world glorifies the inhale, ambition, striving, chasing. But heaven honors the exhale, surrender, stillness, abiding. The long exhale tells your body, you are safe now, you are covered now, you are returning home to rest. Every time you choose to extend that breath, you are stepping out of the chaos and into divine rhythm. This is not breath work. This is warfare. And the battlefield is your nervous system. The breath is your weapon. Your exhale is your strategy. And your victory is in your ability to choose peace, even when everything around you screams panic. Breath is not an accident. It is sacred. And the long exhale is your invitation to step back under the covering of peace, to walk not in flesh, but in spirit, where fear cannot follow. Diaphragmatic breathing enhances oxygen efficiency and cognitive clarity. This is not just a health practice, it's a spiritual recalibration. When you breathe from the diaphragm, you're not just filling your lungs. You are reclaiming the breath of life as it was designed to move through you. You are returning to the original pattern of divine order. Shallow breathing, high in the chest, is the breath of the anxious, the distracted, the oppressed. But the deep breath from the belly, that is the breath of the grounded, the centered, the spirit-led. It is the breath of dominion, not survival. The diaphragm is not an accident of anatomy. It is a muscle designed by God to pull breath into the lowest parts of the lungs, where oxygen exchange is richest, where clarity begins, and where peace takes hold. When you activate the diaphragm, you don't just breathe better. You think clear. The mind sharpens. The fog lifts. The chatter fades. You are no longer reacting out of panic. You are responding from a place of holy clarity. The breath settles, the thoughts align, and the voice of truth comes louder than the noise of fear. This kind of breathing is posture. It's submission to a deeper power, a surrender to rhythm over chaos. It's not frantic. It's not rushed. It's intentional. Diaphragmatic breath signals to your nervous system that you are not in danger, that you are grounded, that the spirit is in control. It tells your brain it's safe to think again. It's safe to dream again. It's safe to listen. You cannot receive revelation in the state of panic. But through the breath, you enter the stillness where wisdom dwells. You step into the realm where the voice of God is not drowned out by cortisol and confusion. Every inhale that draws from the depths of your belly is a reminder that your strength lies deeper than surface living, that you were never meant to operate from the top of your lungs, from the shallow places of fear and reaction. You were called to breathe from the foundation, to engage life from the core, not from the crisis. Even in the battlefield of your mind, the weapon is not always words. Sometimes it is breath, controlled, focused, spirit-anchored breath. Diaphragmatic breathing is the discipline of those who refuse to live in survival mode. It is the breath of priests and prophets, of warriors and worshipers. It is the breath of those who know who they are and who they belong to. God did not create the breath to be wasted in anxiety. He created it as a pathway to clarity, a way to align physiology with purpose. When you breathe low and slow, the brain stops spiraling and starts listing. The heart stops racing and starts resting. This is not a technique. It is alignment. Alignment with the rhythm of heaven, with the intelligence of creation, with the peace that surpasses all understanding. And in that place, distraction dies, fear flees, and clarity rises. Breathwork influences neurochemistry, dopamine, cortisol, and adrenaline levels. But this is far more than science. This is the architecture of divine regulation built into your flesh. God didn't leave your emotions at the mercy of your environment. He gave you a way to shift your inner state on command, not through force, not through medication, but through the holy rhythm of your own breath. With every inhale and every exhale, you are not just moving air. You are moving chemistry, rewiring emotion, commanding your inner world to come into alignment with the spirit rather than the storm. Dopamine, the molecule of motivation and reward, is not just triggered by achievement. It can be influenced by breath. And this matters because it means that when life delays your reward, When your work feels unseen, when you feel empty, you are not left helpless. Breathwork allows you to stir up the well springs of energy and drive, not from what happens around you, but from what God has already planted within you. You don't wait for the world to give you momentum. You breathe and you awaken it. Cortisol, the stress hormone, rises when your breath is shallow, rapid, and reactive. The more you breathe like a victim, that your body believes it's under attack. But when you slow your breath, when you take control of the rhythm, your cortisol levels begin to drop, and with it, fear loses its grip. You are not just calming your body, you are declaring spiritual over to your biology. You are saying that my emotions are not my master, the world is not my God, and stress will not define my decisions. Then comes adrenaline, the fuel for action, for courage, for intensity. God made it to prepare you for battle, for pursuit, for protection. But adrenaline is not meant to run endlessly. It is meant to be regulated. If you live under constant adrenaline, you burn out, you break down. But through breath, you can summon it when needed and silence it when peace is required. The breath is how you choose when to charge and when to rest. It is how you steward the gift of power rather than be consumed by it. This is not guesswork. This is sacred design. The Creator built within you a control system more intelligent than the systems of this world. And it runs through the breath. Every emotion, every thought, every reaction is tied to chemistry. And that chemistry is not fixed. It can be shifted. It can be sanctified. It can be brought under obedience. And breath is the key. You don't have to be a slave to your feelings. You can be a steward of your state. You can align your mind, body, and spirit by choosing to breathe with intention, with faith, with revelation. The breath is not just for oxygen. It is for order. It is for access. It is for transformation. When you master your breath, you master your state. And when you master your state, you become unshakable. Not because life is easy, but because your foundation is not of this world. Consistent breath control trains your brain for resilience, discipline, and emotional regulation. This is not merely a practice. It is preparation. It is the daily choice to command your biology to serve your purpose rather than sabotage it. Every time you control your breath under pressure, you are not just calming down, you are forging strength. You are telling your nervous system, I will not be ruled by fear, by mood, or by noise. You are forming a neural backbone that does not crack under chaos. And that backbone is what separates the spiritually grounded from the emotionally unstable, the warriors from the wanderers. In a world that trains you to react, breath control trains you to respond. While others are pulled by panic and dragged by distraction, you are anchored. Not because you don't feel stress, but because you've built the internal systems to stand under it. This is not natural. It is trained, it is earned in the quiet places when you choose to breathe through frustration instead of snapping, to slow your rhythm instead of spiraling. These moments feel small, but they are spiritual discipline in disguise. You are disciplining your emotions, mastering your impulses, sanctifying your reactions. Resilience is not just the ability to survive pain. It is the ability to remain whole in the middle of it. Breath control is how you rehearse this wholeness. It's how you build the muscle of mental stillness and spiritual awareness so that when the trial hits, you are not scattered, you are steady. The enemy wants a triggered mind. He wants your peace to be fragile, your temper quick, your attention divided. But every breath you take in faith is warfare. It is resistance against the flood of chaos. It is a holy act of ownership. This body belongs to God. This mind is under authority, and this spirit will not be broken by circumstances. Discipline does not begin with action. It begins with control. And the first control God placed in your hands was breath. When you learn to control the breath, your brain rewires. It stops defaulting to escape and starts choosing endurance. It stops seeking comfort and starts leaning into purpose. Breath by breath, you become someone who is not moved by the winds of emotion. You become rooted, trained, sober-minded. Breath becomes more than air. It becomes the rhythm of responsibility. It is how you carry peace into your work, stability into your home, and power into your calling. This is not motivational fluff. This is biology baptized in truth. Your nervous system can be trained. Your reactions can be transformed. And the training ground is breath. Breathe with consistency and you will lead with clarity. Breathe under pressure and you will rise with power. Breathe with intention and your life will no longer be reactionary. It will be governed by spirit, not by stress. This is not just health. It is holiness. It is the mastery of your temple, the stewardship of your mind, and the surrender of your soul to something greater than fear.